to the NewsX Sunday Guardian Roundtable. Well, we've all heard about the Central Vista project. It's a pretty ambitious project, which is, a project that is planned by this government. The whole idea, first of all, what is the Central Vista area? It is in the heart of Lutyens, Delhi. It comprises the Parliament, Rashtrapati Bhavan, the North and South blocks, India Gate, the National Archives building, and area basically around that. So the idea is to revamp this, to put up the new Parliament building, to also come up with a new Central Secretariat, which is one building in office which will comprise offices for all the mantris. Do away with the current Udyog Bhavan, Nirman Bhavan, etc. Offices which are pretty old and outdated. The main question that will be debated here is, A, does this project, it's costing about 20,000 crore, and we all know how these projects always escalate. Do we need this expense? Does this revamp really need to happen? And secondly, right now, at a time when we're facing a pandemic, when there is a cash crunch, should this be our priority? A PIL did go to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court has stated the project has been given the go-ahead. As we understand, there are various standing committees, various talks been happening. The date of completion is 2024. But the main two questions do remain. A, do we need it? And B, right now is now the time to undertake this. Joining me to discuss and debate this on a panel is Shakti Sinha. He was formerly the director at the Nehru Memorial Library. Now he's a director at the Vajpayee Institute of Policy Research and International Studies at Vadodara. We have Ambassador Suresh Goyal. He's the former DG at the ICCR. We have Mr. Bharat Gupta. He's a trustee and executive board member of the IGNCA. Alpana Kishore, she's a writer, and Professor A.G.K. Menon. He's an architect and urban planner. He's also drafted a dossier to nominate Delhi to be in the part of the list of the UNESCO World Heritage Sites. So I'm going to begin with you, Ambassador Goyal, to lay the case, because this is also, I must state at the outright rules that this is something we got together because thanks to a lot of prodding from you. So it is a project which you are very interested in. So tell us your case and where you stand on this.
Thank you very much, Priya. You seem to make me feel guilty, like I'm the person responsible for all this. But yes, I do think that this is a very important project. We have not seen a project of this kind, at least during my lifetime, being undertaken by the government. And therefore, I think this required full debate. Now, it does raise questions, and you have already put those questions up front here. For me, basically, the questions really are, is there a need to undertake a project of this kind at this juncture in time, the cost term? But even more important than the cost and the time of this project, to my mind, the question really is, do we need such a project? Now, I know that every government will have the ambition to leave a footprint in the wake in terms of architectural icons, in terms of the projects, in terms of the development policy, etc. And we have had 7 Delhi so far, and I suppose that Lutyens Delhi was the last one. Now, the way it has developed, there are many iconic buildings around Central Vista. You have mentioned a few. There are buildings which have come up only over the last 20 years. IGNCA is one of them. Jawaharlal Nehru Bhavan, where the MEA is located, is another one. The Vice President's house over there, it has become iconic over a period of time. Now, the question really is such a project actually necessary, and what actually is it going to achieve? As I'm told that even in terms of the master plan, it is going against even the master plan as it was announced for the year 2021. And if there is a need to find space for more, Parliament House, etc., you always have space around Delhi where you can actually move it. We developed a new diplomatic enclave in Dwarka, so similar thoughts can come up. So my question to everyone really is, as counter question, do we need a project like this at all in this shape? And what actually is it going to mean in terms of the heritage of Delhi?
Good question. Professor Menon, you want to take that?
Well, I would like to try and answer that in at least 2 ways. One is that this is a particular site. If, for example, this project were done in Nagpur, perhaps there won't be any such controversy. But it's being done in the heart of Delhi. So there's an elephant in the room we cannot escape, that we are modifying this. So that is an issue. Now, when you say, is there a need for the project? Yes, we can examine it. But also, if that need is there, where should it be done? Where should it be undertaken? So that's the thing. Now, this particular area is really the soul of the Republic of India. The question I'd like to ask is this a republic or a autocracy? Can the politician decide that they want to modify a democratic space? Or are people involved in this decision? It was okay for the British to do it. At that time, we were a colonial government. We were ruled. Are we ruled today? The question is that if you want to do, even if you want to do this project, there's a need for this project. There's a big question. I'm not an expert on it. I will not comment on it, but I do suspect that the project is not needed. Even if it is needed, is it needed here? And who decides? We are a democracy. Do we automatically say, because there's a boss, the boss decides? So I'm saying that I would like to pose that question back again, that is there a need for the project? Maybe a need for the project. I have not examined that. If there's a need for the project, is this the place? If this is the place, who decides? So these are the questions I'd like to leave you with.
Shakti, a lot of questions I think heading your way, because who decides, I don't know, because at the end of the day, it's the government that we have elected. Whether you want to go Arvind Kejriwal way and have a plebiscite for every decision is also, I don't know whether that's needed. So that's another debate. But the project per se, Shakti, do we need it at the right time?
No, I think both Suresh and Professor Menon have raised interesting points. One, of course, I contest the notion that Delhi is India. Delhi is not India. Delhi may be the capital of India. I would hate Delhi to be India, number one. Number two, this is the only damn city in the world where the heart of the city, you have 4-acre bungalows, and the poor travel 1.5 hours each way to office, to work. Look at the opportunity cost besides the actual cost of it. There is something drastically wrong with when you look out of chambers in Taj and see greenery, you're happy about it. That happiness at whose cost? Leave that aside. In a democracy, the elected government, the government decides, period. If you don't like the decision, you have the options of going against the decision, which is as it should. People have gone to court, fine. You should exercise all options. Fourth, when the city of New Delhi was designed, it was designed to this part to be the center of the government, all of government to be here. That has been partly done by creating these awful monstrosities where I have worked. Nirman Bhavan, Shastri Bhavan, Udyog Bhavan, Krishi Bhavan I've only been to, but it's a mirror image of Udyog Bhavan. These buildings have no business to exist. They are awful, they're inefficient, they stink, the rooms are done. Literally, my room in Udyog Bhavan was a dungeon. I don't know how anybody can defend these buildings, and they are a waste of land. Land is valuable, use it more efficiently. Government ministries are spread all over Delhi, paying thousands and thousands of crores in rent. Move them together. My objection, in fact, is why have we not included Lok Nayak Bhavan? Lok Nayak Bhavan has no business to exist where it exists. This Central Vista, the greenery itself. Vigyan Bhavan, where does it do the parking? On the lawns. When there is a spillover at Nirman Bhavan, where do they park? On the lawns. Shastri Bhavan, when the main road was blocked for demonstrations, we used to enter from the back gate over the lawns. You have completely spoiled the Central Vista. You have to restore it to what it is. The trees are old, replant them. Tens of thousands of people from the walled city come for picnics on weekends. Give them proper facilities, make it the proper lung of the city. And once you have a proper national museum, and not the present one, which houses 5% of its collection, if you move it to a much bigger space, where you can house 30% of the collection, 25% of the collection, I think it is good for you. You are actually improving public spaces, making it better, and we have tampered. The Central Vista was supposed to end at the Yamuna. Then for the 1951 Asian Games, 50 got delayed to 51. We built the National Stadium and broke the visual link. We have tampered with all the things, but somehow when it is being done now, everybody's eye seems to be focused on that and not on the project itself. That is what I feel is a tragedy.
First of all, I think this it's not a question of whether you need. I will state categorically, we do not need. And there are many reasons I can give you that we do not need. In fact, we shouldn't at all even venture near this kind of a project for many, many reasons. But let me take the first contention, that this is an opportunity cost. This is a central core for which the land is sort of going waste. Every major city in the world has a green open core. The biggest, the best cities that we look up to around the world, whether it's London, Paris, Berlin, all of them have a green open central core. For us, Lutyens Delhi is Central Park. So this notion that we are wasting this land, to me, is the most horrific notion, because we are loving this land, we are enjoying it, the public owns this land. I mean, when a poor man cycles through Lutyens Delhi, it has open air, it has greenery, it has higher oxygen levels, and forget about the bungalows. You can have a separate argument about whether they're elitist or they're not elitist, who has taken them, who has not, who lives there, who doesn't live there. But the very fact is that this is a space that is open to everybody. Whether you drive, whether you cycle, whether you walk, this is a green open lung, which is like as it is in every major city in the world. The other point I'd like to make is that in no other city, especially today in the age of coronavirus, are we centralizing? I mean, that notion itself is an outdated dinosaur. Nobody centralizes anymore. You decentralize. And this is the entire notion that has been behind Delhi's planning, not from now, but from the 1980s, that you're going to decentralize, you're going to take away government offices from the center and give other places a chance to be power centers. We are just consolidating. In fact, it's the opposite. We are making Delhi India. This notion that Delhi is only India, everything is coming to Delhi, everything is coming to the center. No, why? We are a democracy. There should be local power centers all over. And this is exactly what the British Parliament is doing. They have reduced they have a plan for reducing their offices from, I think, 500 or 800 to 200. Government offices are shrinking to come down to 200. So this notion of centralization makes absolute no sense. Please go and, renovate, break down Nirman Bhavan. You have stinking offices and dungeons. Please go ahead and do that. Keep in mind the height. Keep in mind the space, and let's reduce those.
Mr. Gupta, will you like to come in also on this? It's a pretty impassioned case against this whole project. Would you like to come in with your views?
Right. You see, first of all, I will make an observation that all capitals are renovated and their central place, or what may be called and their acropolis or their center of power, it has to undergo a transformation, and it does reflect the changes that have happened to that state and its relationship with the people. And so I think to say that we just leave Lutyens Delhi as a kind of monument to the British and just make some very, very small changes here and there would be really like preserving the whole colonial heritage with a submission to the colonial. So I think the changes need to be made, and as Shakti was saying, that big changes are needed, maybe right up to Jamuna. But of course, a lot of thinking has to go into it, and we have to see the total vision, we have to discuss it, and all that has to happen. I have nothing against it. And as to when can this be undertaken, seeing the corona calamity right now, obviously this would happen after the calamity, but we should seriously start thinking of it. Now, we at IGNCA are very clear that if we are moved, as it is proposed that we are moved to Jamnagar House, then the government should provide us a building which is far more efficient, which caters to all the needs of the IGNCA, much better than what we have at present. You see, we are not stuck on the space, but what we are stuck on is the idea. And I think that is what has to apply to every institution and the building that there is, right from the parliament. Now, as the observation has to be made, what are we going to enlarge the parliament? We have to discuss that. Is it going to be for 1,100 members? How long will those 1,100 members go on talking in Delhi? Will they ever be able to visit their constituencies? You see, all these questions are, and it is case by case regarding the space for bureaucracy. And we have to see that many things have changed. Now there is a digital revolution. And revolution, the spacing of people is very different. So there was a time when all the bureaucrats and all the clerks and the lower division clerk and right up to chaprasi and chauffeur had to be at one place. Now all that has changed, whether we take cognizance of that or not. And right now we are operating at many places, especially in art centers like IGNCA. We are reaching out to the people very efficiently through the digital media. So we have to think how the parliamentarians are going to reach out to the people and let them reach to them. All to be taken, the new technology, and the buildings need to be constructed that way. And of course, we have to see how will the people reach, what would be the method of operation, what would be the public transit system. One has to see it environmentally, one has to see it in terms of traffic regulations.
Social distancing and the new normal, yes.
All those things are very important. And so I would say that the idea is essential and the government is thinking of something beautiful. I fully support it. But in its implementation, there are just too many things which need to be worked out, by screw, hammer, and bolt. It has to be done in a very specific manner towards all the things that we need. But we do need a digital.
We do need the project, but I think the timing is something that everybody is agreeing on, except maybe Shakti, that maybe it's not the right time. But whether we need the project or not, we are hearing different voices. Ambassador Goyal, in this age, maybe it's a good time the project has come now, because maybe there's time to rethink it, because now we've got a whole new consideration to worry about: social distancing, digital revolution, work from home. Maybe all the MPs can work from home at the end of the day. So, having heard all the arguments, what is your response?
Priya, I'm a physics graduate, okay? So I love technology, and technology should be integrated into any modern configuration of a city. I have nothing against it. I'm going to raise a few questions again, really. First of all, who owns the heritage? Is it a property of the people, or is it a property of the government? If it is a property of the people, were the people consulted on what is going to be done? I come from Old Delhi area, and when I go to Balli Maran or Chandni Chowk and I look at the old Havelis, they remind me of the glorious past that existed during the Mughal Empire. Now, disowning the Mughal Empire does not mean that I disown what they have left behind in terms of the architectural beauties or the culture they have left behind. I belong to a culture which is common to Hindu, Muslim, everyone. So I can't disown that. I am a product of the history. So what the people consulted. And if the heritage is owned by the people, I think it is necessary that people are consulted on how it should be done. Number two, to create more, you do not need to destroy what exists. Even the Lutyens Delhi was constructed on the rise in a hill without destroying what existed. Therefore, please, by all means, I give the example of the diplomatic enclave, by all means, do. And Shakti Sinha mentioned restore Central Vista. I agree. Please destroy Nirman Bhavan, destroy Udyog Bhavan. They are anachronism. They do not fit into the scheme of what Central Vista is. But IGNCA, National Archives, National Museum, the way the JNB is constructed, they fit into the kind of beauty that Central Vista is. Please do not destroy what actually adds to the beauty of Delhi. And for me, Chandni Chowk is as important as Lutyens Delhi. Even if I don't live there, I live in Greater Noida, but it is still beautiful. Thank you.
Professor Menon, I would agree on the destroying Nirman Bhavan and Udyog Bhavan. The loos are terrible. For somebody who's covered that beat, I would say a lot of the revamping needs to be done. But do we need to revamp the whole to do away with the parts?
Well, I think there were two parts to this this discussion we're having. One was the need. I think the question of the need has still not been answered. It can be questioned whether we need it or not. But I just presume, for the sake of the argument, that if there is a need. So we come to the second part. If there's a need, what is the process that should be followed? That becomes the second question. Ambassador Goyal has already highlighted one or two issues. Were people consulted? Were laws consulted? For example, this is a legal heritage zone. How do you deal with a legal heritage zone? Incidentally, it is not Taj Mahal. It's not a place where you don't touch. Of course you can touch, of course you can modify, of course you can change. But there is a process. You have professionals to advise you on that. You don't have an architect coming and saying, break this, break that, build this, do that. That is not the way to deal with a heritage zone. So second question I'd like to flag is what was the process? Land use is being changed. Projects are being approved. What is the process? They're breaking all the rules and regulations to get this project done. So I'm just saying it is a horrendously complex project, and we're trying to do it in a very simplistic hammer. We're coming with a hammer and the government saying it shall be done by 2024. And everyone has to fall in line. And we find our friends defending it, say, oh, there's elected government. Of course, there's elected government. But we need to understand we are still a republic, a democracy. No one is saying make Delhi India. Of course, it's not. As we were told, the Parliament of England, they're making the House of Lords in York because they want to make it more inclusive, saying that why should it all be in London?
So you're saying send the Parliament to Nagpur?
I'm just saying these are questions that can be asked. Why do we need to build a new parliament next to it? Why can't we live with the old parliament? It has heritage value, it has memory, it has tremendous intangible values, which are completely disregarded because we are having a hammer. With a hammer, everything's a nail. You keep hammering away with the head of the nail. So this is the process and we are objecting to it.
Yeah, out of time, I got your points. Shakti, you've stayed part of the thing is also revamping Prime Minister's office and house. You worked in both, you stayed in both. Is there a need to revamp that? I agree with Professor Menon. Is there a need to revamp the parliament? The building is pretty good. There is a heritage value. There's a sense of history. So some things, yes, like Nirman Bhavan, but some things, no. Why we go with hammer?
Okay. Very quickly, many points. One, not one heritage building is being removed, demolished, destroyed. Not one. Period. Not one. The trouble with controversies is facts are ignored. Two, public spaces are not being encroached upon, they're actually being increased. One, they're being reclaimed for illegal use of parking, that's coming back to the public. And with the north and south block also being open to the public, you're actually increasing public spaces in the heart of the city, not decreasing it. Facts.
But
Number
the
three.
public as museums.
No, because now the north and south block will become museums. So public today, have been to south and north block, you have to leave your car behind a Rafi Marg and walk up now. It becomes open to the public. The whole Vista from Rashtrapati Bhavan to India Gate is now open to the public. That's increased. And as I'm saying, you're reclaiming the public spaces which are illegal use of parking today by government. All new constructions are within the government institution land area. Not 1 inch is going outside it. Facts. Parliament. Parliament building has been punctured. It was built as a very small thing. Our Lok Sabha is 542 plus 2. England has 630. Forget it. There's no place in that building. That building is creaking. It's caught fire a few times. We don't have the old designs. The sewage system is collapsed. They don't know what to do without it, without demolishing the building. That building, one, is completely inadequate. MPs have no spaces. All MPs in the world, I've been to European Parliament, have rooms. Here, Central Hall is for everybody to dump in. The Parliament building has to be retrofitted. It has been changed in the past. In the 50s, 2 floors were added to the Parliament building. Then we punctured it with AC. We punctured it with the sound audiovisual systems. You look at the fact, and we are not moving a single office from outside Delhi into Delhi. The Delhi offices of the ministries, Suresh Goyal's ministry, scattered from North Block, from South Block to JNU, 4 different locations.
Alpana, quickly, we are probably out of time, so make this one short, please.
Okay, yeah. So first of all within government spaces, sewage system of Parliament is collapsing. Half, the no government offices are coming from outside Delhi, but half of the government offices that were sent away in a bid to decentralize are coming back, according to Bimal Patel, who is the architect of this Central Vista. They're all coming back. So even those that have gone away are coming back. Things like parking and so on, well, I'm all for change of Nirman Bhavan and so on. Please create underground parking. There's no issue with that. And government spaces, no, I refute that. You are increasing the heights of all these things. You are enclosing the space, which is right now open. You are building big, where the height is not over India Gate. But IGNCA and even the new External Affairs Ministry are far lower than India Gate. They don't go over the tree line. So when you're sitting in India Gate, all you're going to see around you is everything the size of India Gate, whereas India Gate currently stands out for miles because it is higher than everybody else. So I absolutely refute this notion that nothing is changing, that government institutions are going to remain where they are. No,
it's becoming better.
They're taking over the air, they're taking over the views, they're taking over the whole iconic space of that area. And the public is going to be given in exchange North and South Block as museums. I would suggest, let me give this suggestion, that all this space that you're talking about, that Lutyens originally thought of in the 1920s, when Delhi was 1/20th of its size, that he wanted this as, no, he didn't. He wanted it as museums. He wanted it as public spaces, as theaters. So if you're building, by all manners, give it to the public. Why should the government be taking over? If the PM's house is going to be right over there, that's a new VIP zone. There is a metro rail that is going to go around this entire area underground and taking people from one office to the other. But that's not the purpose of this space. The purpose of this space is the public. It should have the ownership of the space, not the government. And they should decide what should be done. So we should be given, as a public, we should be given theaters, we should be given public spaces like museums and all other manners of things, not just North and South Block. If you want to rebuild or you want to...
You know, what I see from the discussion, that there does seem to be, some people say that there should be no change. And I would not...
No change. Please don't put words. No one is saying no change.
Nobody is saying no change. I have said change Nirman Bhavan. Please do. Go ahead. Change that. Change the things that need to be changed.
Let certain things that stand as they stand today be repaired. Like you repair the systems, the sewers and this and that. But I'm talking of bringing in a new vision. Bringing in a new vision and an improved vision which improves upon the historicity, which does not reject or throw out something.
But who says that?
Let him finish. We heard you. Let him finish. I'm totally out of time.
And secondly, it
Mr.
seems
Gupta is completely out of context. Completely out of context.
Yeah.
Okay, let him finish. I'm winding up, guys.
Like Alpana is saying something which I fully appreciate, that why should there be so much of bureaucracy brought in there? You see, the whole problem is, from this discussion, it seems to me that the idea of bringing in all the bureaucracy in one space is perhaps not a very good idea. It's going to create more and more of problems. And I personally stand by that idea that it should not be so. This is a digital age and this is not required. Now, if you are going to change this place, if you're going to improve upon it, are you going to make it more artistic? Are you going to, if you're going to improve the heritage and bring in the modern India, which has been there in the last 70 years, what is going to reflect it better than art? If you want this to be open to the people, if you want the Central Vista to be used by the people of India, then it is the heritage, the art heritage of India, which is going to use it.
That is the question. Okay, I'm going to end now. I'm really sorry, Mr. Gupta, we're totally out of time. As you can see, different divergent views have been put on the table over here. I don't, I think the timing, whether there is a need for it, both cases have been made for and against. I'll have to quickly wind up and leave it here, but I'm sure this is a debate we'll keep coming back to and relooking, and I will invite all of you back again. But that's it for now. Thank you for watching this show and being a part of it.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.